So we're starting to work on our neck now, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to route out our truss rod channel, and it's a lot easier to do this when we've got a nice square blank in that. And so we're going to be using our router here, and we're going to be using a parallel guide on it. So that means we can just run the router along this straight edge we've got here, and that'll route down our truss rod channel here. So we'll press on with that now, and then we can move on to all our other steps then after that. So that's our truss rod channel routed, and the truss rod just sits ever so slightly below the surface there. So we're happy with that. So we're going to move on now, and our next two jobs are going to be, we'll bandsaw out the main shape, we're going to drill our tuner holes, and then we'll get ready to reattach our template to route out the final shape. So this is our neck off the bandsaw now, and looking almost neck shaped. So as you said, our next process will be, we have to drill out our tuner holes, and we also have to reattach our template and route out the final shape. So we'll get on to both of those now. So this is our neck now off our router table, all nicely shaped up now, and we've got to drill out our holes for our machine heads here as well, and we're also going to line up our fingerboard, and we'll start to work out getting the fingerboard prepped as well. So as we said, we'll drill out our tuner holes and we'll start to prep our fingerboard next. So we're just starting to mark out our fingerboard here, and we've got our fingerboard blank that we prepared earlier, and we've just cut some of the excess off the side because it was quite large. And we've also got our Crimson Guitars fret scale ruler here, which we're going to use to mark out all our fret positions. Now if you don't have one of these rulers, as most people don't, there are plenty of online fret calculators. StuMac has one, for example, and you just put in your scale length, number of frets, and it'll give you the exact markings, and it'll give you the dimensions that you'll need, and you can just use a ruler or use a calipers or something like that to calculate it. It's not too bad at all. So we're using a 25.5 inch scale length here for this, and we've just drawn a rough centre line on, and just holding it on the centre line we can just mark each of our fret positions then, and then we can use a protractor to make sure they're nice and square and get them ready to cut up. So we'll just start to mark this here, and we'll bring you in and show you what we're doing. So we've got our fret ruler in place here on our fingerboard blank, and we've laid it across our centre line here. And so we've got markings here. So we've got a mark for our nut, a mark where our first fret is going to be, and so on. And so we'll just continue to mark these going down the fingerboard. And then, as we said, we can come back with our protractor now, and we can mark the line across there where our fret is going to be. And we use a protractor to make sure we're going exactly along our centre line. And we'll just continue on and do that for all our frets, and then get ready to start cutting them out. So apologies for the noise, clothes dryer on in the background. So we're getting ready to cut our fret slots now, and we've got our fretting saw here, and we've just got some masking tape on it to use as a depth stop, and that just matches up with the tang of our fret wire here, which is a Stumac cryo wire. And so when we cut our fret slot, that piece of tape there tells us exactly how deep we can go safely. And so there's lots of different ways of doing this. Lots of people have different techniques. Some people use a jig on a table saw and stuff like that. People use radial arm saws. I just cut them by hand at the moment. It's just nice and simple. And so basically we just, a lot of people use miter boxes and stuff like that as well. But basically we just follow the line and we just go down a few millimeters, and that's what our depth stop is for. And after we've done that, we can radius the board, and then we can go back again and make sure our fret slots are at the correct depth. So as we said, we'll just take it nice and handy, and we just line ourselves up on the line, trying to keep things as nice and straight as possible, and just go along the line and we cut our frets to depth then. So just before we make our first cut with the saw, what we're doing is we're just taking a ruler here and just holding it up to the line that we're going to be cutting, and we're just taking a scalpel blade and we're just scoring the surface where our cut is going to be, and that just gives something for the saw to bite into and just makes it a little bit more accurate. Our fret slots all cut, so our next step is going to be we're going to radius the board, and once we've done that we'll lose some of the depth on the fret slots, so we'll come back and we'll just recut them again down to the exact depth we want, and then we'll be ready to attach it to the neck. So we're just set up now to radius our fingerboard, and so we've got it stuck down with some super glue and masking tape, and we've got a nice straight edge here just to the side. And that's going to hold our radius block in place. This is a 12-inch radius, and we've got some 80 grit sandpaper on it. So we're set up along our center lines here, so that when we move our radius block along, it will sand directly down the center line and just take material off the sides until we get a nice 12-inch radius, which you can see the slight curve there of this radius block. So this takes a bit of time and a bit of elbow grease and effort. So we just plow away and we just keep moving our radius block backwards and forwards and just sanding down till we get that perfect 12-inch radius. So we'll just get stuck into this now, and we'll bring you back in a while after it's done. So we've got our fretboard radius now, and it's got its curve on it. But as you can see, as we've taken down the sides with the radius, and we've lost some of the fret slot. So what we'll be doing is we'll just be coming back with a scalpel blade, and we'll just be pushing out a lot of this dust and dirt, and then we'll be coming back with our fretting saw, and again we'll change the depth on this and we'll recut all our slots down to the final depth. So we'll just press on with that now. So we're just over at the drill press now, and we're just going to drill out our tuner holes now. We've got a 10mm bit inside the chuck here, and so we're just going to press ahead and drill out our tuner holes. So that's our tuner holes drilled out now, and we've just marked up along the edge of our headstock here. We're just going to take off that amount of material over on the bandsaw, and that'll give us our little step down then on the headstock, and then we'll probably come back with our little router jig and just completely smooth that out and get it down to the exact thickness we want. We're then going to drill out our fretboard and put our inlays in, and we'll use our radius block again to get them nice and smooth down with the surface, and we'll also do a couple of more passes on the fretboard to get it nice and smooth, and then we'll get ready to glue the whole thing up. So we're just getting ready to glue our fingerboard on now. So we've got our truss rod in place, and we've just got a small bit of tape up here to stop any glue getting in near the actual mechanism. And we've also drilled holes for our 2 locator pins here to ensure the fretboard doesn't move around as we try and glue it in. And we're just going to do a little experiment here as well. We're also going to glue in some this black piece of veneer here. Just as a little sandwich kind of in between the fingerboard and the neck. It should create a nice black accent line along the side. May look good, may look terrible, we don't know, but we're just going to experiment anyway and see does it work, whether we like it or not. So we're just going to get some glue on here, get our veneer on, and then get our fingerboard into place. We've got some clamping coils then to hold the whole thing down, and plenty of clamps and that. So we'll just press on ahead now and see how we get on. So apologies for the noise, we've got some heaters on and stuff like that. It's absolutely freezing here. We're right in the depths of winter in Ireland. You can just see the remains of some snowmen that my niece has made there recently. So it's been a couple of days and the glue has dried up. We took it into a nice warm room rather than leaving it out here in the workshop to make sure the glue is properly dried. So we're just going to take all our clamps off and we'll start to process it now.